Have you ever wondered how durable GoPros really are? Like, obviously they're waterproof and they're more rugged than like a standard camera would be. But what would it take to actually kill a GoPro? Well, today we're gonna put GoPro's newest camera, the Hero 4K, through a whole gauntlet of challenges to find out what it takes to actually kill a GoPro. And just for comparison, I have this budget alternative that I'm gonna be putting through the exact same test. This camera you can pick up for less than half the price of GoPro's Hero 4K. So I'm kind of excited to see how this compares, especially in terms of durability. The Hero 4K is essentially meant to be a super simple, budget, beginner-friendly action camera at right around half the price of GoPro's flagship camera, the Hero 13 Black. There's barely any settings you can change or really much you can do with this camera besides just turn it on and start recording video. And to be upfront, there is a lot of negative talk about this GoPro, and you should definitely do your research before you buy this. But I also think that will kind of make this a great option for people that want an inexpensive but still good quality action camera like this to really just put through extreme conditions and put in places that you might not want to put, you know, a GoPro 13 Black that's double the price of this camera. Alright, so that's kind of the rundown on our plan here and why I chose these cameras specifically. Without further ado, let's get into some testing. Alright, first up of course is the drop test. I'm gonna drop these from 3 feet, 6 feet, and then 9 feet. I'm pretty confident they're both gonna survive that even if there are a few scrapes and scratches or even a few cracks. So let's get to it. 3, 2, 1. Like I expected, pretty much perfect. I don't see a single thing on the GoPro. And then this, I don't know if those are new or not. There's a couple scuffs there, but yeah, pretty much nothing. I'm just gonna drop them from 3 feet one more time. It doesn't sound good, but a little scuff in that corner, a little scuff in there. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much perfect still. Let's move up to 6 feet. In 3, 2, 1. It looks fine. All right, GoPro's pretty good. And then this one, it looks fine as well. All right, survived 3 feet, survived 6 feet. Let's go all the way to 9 feet. I'm gonna drop it all the way from the ceiling there. All right, dropping them from 9 feet in 3, 2, 1. I see some damage. A little damage on the GoPro here, and I'm hoping it's just that front lens, which I believe is replaceable. Rear screen's perfect. Everything else is perfect. So it looks like 9 feet on the GoPro is about the limit. I'm guessing it landed on the lens, but you'll see in the slow motion shot. And then for this one, I don't see anything wrong with this. So I'm gonna give the points to the AKASO on this one. I mean, like I said, there's literally like nothing wrong with this. It looks perfect. So I guess the AKASO wins the drop test for literally less than half the price of this GoPro. But we still have a lot more testing to do. Let's get into it. All right, GoPro's still recording. This one's still rolling as well. Honestly, the fire really didn't do much to these. All right, both cameras survived the fire. Both of them survived the fire extinguisher, but it definitely got dust pretty much everywhere it can possibly go. It kind of jammed up some of the buttons and even this door on the GoPro, but I have an idea. So the AKASO fell out of its case, but it's still recording, it looks like, and it feels really, really hot. And I can definitely see the GoPro still recording back there. And it looks like this probably just caught on something and just ripped it open. I'm pretty blown away at how well these are holding up so far, so I quickly want to do a few more tests at my desk here before we push these things even further. I think the odds of survival for my next big tests are going to be kind of low. And also for these, I'm going to take this waterproof casing off the AKASO. Alright, first up, let's power up this GoPro. And there's definitely a few scuffs on the back screen here after I stepped on it. But besides that, there's no cracks on the back screen yet, even after the 9-foot drop. You know, obviously that cracked this front lens, but I'm still pretty surprised at just the durability of this in general. All right, I'm just gonna start putting pressure on the screen and just on different spots around this camera and see what happens. Oh, there we go. That was just about as much pressure as I could put on it, and it finally popped there. Okay, there's a few spots where it won't quite register the touch as well, but it's still probably 80 or 90% functional besides just being completely cracked at this point. So let's switch over to the AKASO. Now this one doesn't have a touchscreen as it is, and it feels a lot softer. Like barely just touching and pushing down on this, I can feel it flexing and I can kind of see weird spots wherever I press on it. So I am not at all expecting this screen to hold up as well, but I also don't even know if it's really gonna crack. All right, so let's see what we can do here. Oh, there we go. I put just about the same pressure as the GoPro. At the end there, I was pushing about as hard as I could until it finally popped, but that is definitely also a little more damage than the GoPro. But the AKASO is still perfectly smooth. Like this plastic, you know, outer casing to the screen or whatever's there, there's not a single scratch or crack or bend. Like it's still completely fine. It's just the screen underneath that is absolutely destroyed. The GoPro, like I could probably cut myself on this glass. It's pretty sharp and it's pretty rough. But another thing to think about with the AKASO, front screen is still perfect, so I can still vlog with this. The camera still works fine. It's just, you can't see a single thing from the rear screen anymore. Okay, now let's do a little knife versus these camera bodies and just see how they hold up with that. Okay, I'm also just noticing on this AKASO, the front screen is starting to do something. It's like changing. That's turning into like watercolor. A few seconds ago, it was not like that. So there might be more damage inside of here than I thought there was originally. Let's make sure it still records. Okay, I'm recording again on the AKASO, so we'll see if this footage looks normal, if it's just the screen, or if I did more damage in there than I thought. It doesn't look like this blade did anything to either of the actual, you know, glass elements on the lenses for either of these. But let's see what the quality of this plastic is like. I mean, you can just tell right away, this is a lot softer of plastic than on the GoPro. See about this front screen. You can easily scratch it, easily cut through it, just pretty much a plastic cover over the actual LCD screen. And I'm guessing the back's the exact same thing. All right, also I got this really powerful magnet. I just want to like hold it up to these cameras and just see if that does anything. I don't really expect it to do a whole lot, but both of these are recording right now, so I just want to see if it affects the recording at all. Yeah, I didn't really expect it to do much, but I figured I would just try it out just to see. All right, I know I already lit these on fire, but I want to do a little bit more of a controlled and, you know, a little bit longer of a burn on these, because that really didn't happen with our last test. They got really hot, but it didn't burn for super long, and obviously it wasn't as hot of a flame as a direct torch on these. Oh, look at that. Okay, these are both really hot. The plastic back on that AKASO just absolutely got melted. Also, it looks like I might have killed the GoPro screen as well. Okay, these are both really hot right now, so I'm gonna let these sit for a little bit, and then I'm gonna get back to you and we'll just see what these things are looking like. All right, at least for now, both these cameras are still working. So we're gonna go ahead and run these things over. I'm gonna do it on grass first, and then we'll do concrete. Oh, look at that, it broke that, broke some more of that glass off, but besides that, yeah, that didn't do anything to this, to be honest. It really pushed these into the ground, but besides that, it really didn't do a single thing to these. That might be it for the GoPro. I mean, besides that, it's definitely like bowed out in the front and back, so it definitely crushed it a little bit. Memory card's still good. And then the AKASO. I really thought at least that would crack. You know, the tire going right on top of that. It didn't crack anything, didn't break anything on that. So I think I'm gonna do one more. I'm just gonna quick back up over this without the case and just see what happens if it lives through that. So let's do that. I think it's safe to say that outer shell was definitely doing most of the work there. I think that's it for the AKASO as well. There is no way this thing's still working. So you can't see a single thing anymore except this bright spot on the screen. But check this out, it still powers on and connects to the app. All right, let's try recording. GoPro's recording, the lens on this still looks fine, the preview on the video looks fine. I'm pretty sure this thing still records just fine, even though the screen's absolutely demolished at this point. I guess really most of the camera's completely demolished at this point. All right, this thing's still functional, it still records video just fine, and especially now that it's not at all sealed anymore, I just want to toss this in the freezer for a while and just see what happens. All right, here we go. It's been in the freezer for 15 hours and I can already see some condensation building up all over this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this thing in. We'll let it fully charge and make sure it still works. All right, still works fine after 15 hours in the freezer. And there was even a ton of condensation all over this when I got it out. And I'm sure there was some inside of there too, but it still works fine. Also, I kind of forgot to test these little things. So I'm just gonna rip on them and just see how strong those are. There we go. Okay, these mounting feet are surprisingly strong. Like, you are not gonna break these on accident. But what I'm gonna do now is drip some water inside of the USB port and the SD card port while this is recording. See what happens with that, and then also drip some under the screen here inside of the camera and just see how long it'll last with water just getting right inside of this camera. All right, GoPro's recording. I'm gonna go ahead and drop some water right into the USB and the SD card ports. Okay, I don't see the recording light flashing anymore, so I think it stopped, but the screen's still on, so I'm just gonna try to hit record again. The red light's flashing again. I've been holding the power button down trying to turn it off and nothing's happening. Okay, neither button is doing anything right now, so it looks like a little bit of water getting into these ports is definitely not good for these things. All right, it's been about 5 minutes, and I think that is it for the GoPro. It is really warm right now. The red light stopped flashing, and it no longer powers on or anything like that. Now, I'm gonna let this thing dry out for a few days and then try to plug it in and charge it and see what happens. And if this does end up working again, I'll definitely post on my community page. But I'm pretty sure we finally ended up killing this thing. Alright, I'm pretty surprised at how well both of these cameras held up. You know, it does make it a little bit tricky to call a winner on this, when the AKASO with this outer case is definitely more durable than the GoPro, but both of them without the case, the AKASO just absolutely got demolished by the car. There is not a whole lot of structural rigidity in the camera itself, and then the GoPro survived pretty much running it over twice with the car. So obviously way more rugged and rigid of a body than the AKASO is. But again, you can also get almost 3 of these AKASO cameras for the same price as one of these GoPros, when this is already a budget action camera at half the price of the GoPro 13 Black. Now I am also planning on doing more durability tests like this in the future. This was kind of a proof of concept, so I do need to refine my testing process a little more. But let me know in the comments, did either of these cameras surprise you with their durability? And also what cameras I should durability test in the future, whether they're action cameras or even just other regular cameras. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.